Pooja, you have been tracking the chemical sector, and the flavors and fragrances industry is the one which is the most upcoming and is also a very lucrative business for the chemical companies. According to some of the reports, it is said that the flavors and fragrances market is projected to reach 45.68 billion, to be precise, around 46 billion by 2033. But what I see is there is a lot of small and medium-sized enterprise in this space, apart from large enterprise, which are very few. So how can these small and medium enterprises compete with the industry giants? And what should be their focus and what should be their value-added offerings that they need to do?
Thank you so much, Pravin, for the question. So I will break down this question into two ways. First, I would like to address how Indian flavor and fragrance market has been shaped and where MSME is actually placed out and what are the opportunities. So if we see Indian flavor and fragrance market is quite dynamic and is growing very rapidly, with vast and huge assortments of flavors and fragrances in the market. If I have to go with stats, currently Indian fragrance and flavor market is close to around 3.5 to 3.8 billion dollar market, and as I said, it's very growing rapidly at 11 to 12% and is expected to reach around $5 billion market in next 3 to 4 years. So amidst all these, strong competition from global multinational players to local manufacturers, the market is very, very strong and is witnessing a strong transaction from, this growing demand from personal care or food or beverages industry, plus changing consumer preferences because we are, getting impacted with a lot of Western lifestyle and culture. So we need more of cosmetic products or beauty products. And plus rising disposable income. So all of these is actually driving the industry. So this actually helps the medium-sized players as well as the large Indian players to place out themselves very well. But if you see currently the market structure of flavor and fragrance, especially in India, it is very unorganized. So, I would say MSMEs or SMEs would be close to 50 to 60% of the market, and if you see, we have good 4 to 5 players which would account to next rest of 20 to 30%, and then MNCs of 10%. So here I would say SMEs have a very, very good hold in the market itself. So in a way, SMEs or MSMEs should ideally focus on the trend that is actually going into the market, which is preference for natural and sustainable ingredients. That is one thing that MSMEs or SMEs should focus in, because with the fact that India is, it has a wide source of natural herbs and flowers, and extraction of them is very easily available. So raw material availability for these flavors and fragrances is very easy. So that's not an issue. Plus, in fact, to give you stats, India actually exports close to 70 to 75% of its domestic production of flavor and fragrances ingredients to the global market. So I think availability of the raw material is very easy, and SMEs and MSMEs should actually focus on sustainable and very natural ingredients. Another thing that SMEs or MSMEs could focus is on functional fragrances that we think, because these fragrances are quite specifically developed for certain functions like maybe antimicrobial or antioxidants, because since we are very much aware of cosmetic and beauty products, we need for specific functions. So this focus should be there for MSMEs and SMEs. Third is again customization, which is again a tailor-made or unique product for specific Indian consumers. That could be one focus area. Another focus area or approach that MSME could have in this overall global, market could be focusing on eco-friendly packaging solutions, because now, since again we need that clean label requirement across all industries, so eco-friendly packaging solution is one of the things that they should keep in mind. So all of the factors should be kept in mind for MSMEs and SMEs to have that space. Plus, I think there's a lot of support from the government side also that they could leverage on, be it some SRI equity fund that they can get into it, or some, champion cluster development programs that they have specifically designed for MSMEs, or Koir Yojana Yatra, which is basically, very much related to packaging of fragrance packaging manufacturing. So all these a lot of support from the government, plus they can leverage the e-commerce platform as well. So all these approach plus the support from government could help them to enter much into the overall flavors and fragrance market.
Thanks, Pooja. Now, before I go to Vikas Rishi, let me ask Murari Mohan, how flavor and fragrance companies integrate sustainable sourcing and production practices to add value while addressing consumers' skepticism about eco-ethical claims.
So the first thing is, like, we need to have very sustainable sourcing, as well as the use of technology and renewable energy in the manufacturing of flavors and fragrances. If you see, these companies need to prioritize renewable resources by opting for ingredients derived from sustainable sources, such as organic farming or responsibly managed forests. These companies also need to adopt energy-efficient processes, reduce water consumption, and minimize greenhouse gases emissions throughout the production chain. Moreover, transition to a recyclable, compostable, and refillable packaging options to reduce waste, utilizing eco-friendly solvents, as well as alternatives to harmful chemicals in the fragrance formulation process, and use of their will enhance the sustainability aspects of the flavors and fragrances. These companies can integrate sustainable sourcing and production to enhance brand value, as well as address consumer skepticism by prioritizing transparency, ethical sourcing, and eco-friendly practices. This involves focusing on renewable and responsibly sourced ingredients, minimizing waste and carbon emissions, and adopting sustainable packaging and production methods. By communicating these efforts clearly and authentically, companies can build consumer trust and strengthen their brand image while contributing to a more sustainable future. So, in a nutshell, it is the sustainable sourcing, use of renewable energy and technology to enhance the sustainability aspects of the flavors and fragrances.
Thanks, Murari. Vikas, what role do you see for advanced biotechnologies playing in creating value-added functional food ingredients that align with consumer demands for health and wellness? And anyway, you are also focusing on biotech in a big way through the labs that you are setting up or that you have already set up in different parts of the country.
So I think biotechnology is going to be a paradigm in this industry. Biotechnology is kind of mystified, but one needs to demystify it. It's as much a part of nature as distillation is or anything else is. We were amongst the first companies, and indeed we are the first companies in the world to actually get into the flavor and fragrance biotechnology molecules, research them, upscale them, and sell them. Even in the West, the large companies contract, research these molecules, and then bring them in. We research them in a Bangalore facility, we upscale them, we manufacture them. I'm very happy to say that in two of the 4 products that we've done, we have become the global leaders. And we just had a session before this on women in chemical industry. I'm very happy to say the industry that I am in is primarily women dominated in research and development, in the fermentation technology, in the downstream. So in my Bangalore facility, it's a skewed ratio. It is 70-30 women to men. And I'm very happy about it. But answering your question, biotechnology is actually all of what we just talked about: sustainable sourcing, circularity, low carbon footprints. And biotechnology is actually giving, to your point, functional ingredients. If you look at a molecule, for example, you would like to have functionality as well as olfactory. So you could have a vanilla with a turmeric infusion. You have flavor as well as an antioxidant property. This is possible by biotechnology. This is possible by precision fermentation. You could have an ashwagandha with an anolide. Again, you could have a number of combinations. And since you talked about the preferences, the consumer preferences coming in, biotechnology provides the succor to that kind of thing. The only thing, the tenacity, is to demystify it, to say that we are only a part of nature, only that we don't bring in the vagaries of climate change with it.
Thank you, Vikas ji. My next question to you is with respect to use of digital technologies, whether AI and data analytics, to deliver hyper-personalized sensory experiences. And what challenges do you see in terms of using AI-driven products in future?
Before I get into that, I'll give you some wonderful examples of how AI is being used today. There's a company called Sentient. It is making people smell things and registering their reactions, their facial expressions. And that is combined into an algorithm to design a perfume for that subset of people. That is the use of AI. Nestle has a thing called Cookie Talk. All they are doing is monitoring the social media chatter and designing their cookies flavors on that. You have another company which says, design your own perfume in 3 clicks. So AI is now, and there's recently a new setup, a new startup which has said, you want a flavor, you come to us, the olfactory will combine with machines, algorithms will demystify it, and we'll create the flavor for you. But AI should not be used as an opponent. It should be used to deepen the human experience. AI should be used for validation. AI should be used for bias mitigation. And most importantly, AI should be used for democratization creativity. What I mean is that you can create your own perfume. But that doesn't mean that it has to be a challenge to the existing human expertise. It will work in tandem with the human expertise. More and more, in research, for example, there are millions of enzymes which can work in soft chemistry. AI is propelling, instead of going through high throughput and screening millions of them, AI is propelling to give you the best subset of 30. So now, your kinetics of development go from 10 years to 1 year. That's one aspect of AI. Your creation of perfumes, you had gas chromatographs, you have mass chromatographs. Besides that, if you use AI algorithm to interpret all that, again, you could be creating a perfume based on individual demands. Now, think of it in a more expanded way, in a much more expanded way. I mean, think of it as the ultimate. If AI can, there is in fact already a move on it, that AI, they're trying to take the gut flora, take it to AI, and the AI will then generate the best foods for a particular gut flora. That is the ultimate of AI. So AI can be used as a tool and not as an adversary. And more it's coming into the system.
You have been also been supplying to international multinationals the raw material as well as some of the key materials for flavors and fragrances industry. So how has been the experience and what's the quality that you have been providing them that they are coming back every time?
So we started a research in two of the molecules which we wanted to produce. We wanted to replicate the biochemical processes in the lab, which we did in our Bangalore facility. And we patented those molecules, and 2 or 3 companies which were mentioned here already have put us on a global program. We have been sold out for the last 5 years, and today we are, I'm very happy to say, the world leaders in making that molecule. It's not just that, Prashant, it's, Pravin, it's about we are at the right time, at the right place. It's tailwinds for India. India has, with all the bioeconomy going, so far the emphasis on biotechnology has been on pharmaceuticals or enzymes or agriculture. It's for the first time that the impetus has been given on the flavors and fragrance industry. And there is a lot of scope for it. So everything that we have done, one molecule is one of the first in the world, and the second one is actually the first in the world. And I'll actually give you an example of this, what we have created. You all know jasmine. Now jasmine has a specific note called indole. Indole is present in absolutely minuscule quantities. So if you're actually wanting to isolate indole from jasmine, it could cost you $100,000 a kilo. Now, we developed that through biotechnology. Most of the use of that went for perfumery. But suddenly, a new industry was created. Don't forget, there is jasmine tea. And they never had a natural ingredient they could put in. And suddenly, the industry woke up to this and said, wow, now we have a natural jasmine booster in jasmine tea. So, those are the opportunities that come up in this new technology.
Pooja, with climate change impacting ingredient quality, what innovative approaches, whether it is lab-grown or synthetic ingredients, can enhance sustainability and create premium value propositions for flavors and fragrances industry?
So climate change is not just a topic for any scientists or activists. It's actually a reality which is reshaping every industry, be it food or beverages, fragrances, chemicals. Every industry now, for them, environmental footprint is very significant. Be it right from energy-intensive manufacturing processes to, filling up those plastic bottles which end up into the landfills. And I think there are a lot of, plenty issues that they can actually address to the climate change. So for any big manufacturer, small manufacturers or brands, the whole agenda right now is to, how to reduce this emission by using either renewable resources or source of energy or, less intensive energy processes. So some of the approaches that what I can think of is, as Sir rightly mentioned, biotechnology, that is actually a great game changer for fighting this, climate degradation that is happening. So lab-grown or synthetic ingredients that can actually be used in a lot of industries. So what are these lab-grown, ingredients? Is basically they mimic the natural scents of flavors. So it's very similar to your natural fragrances, oils, and essential oils that can be actually used. So for example, to give, plant-based squalene, which is being used right now, is actually produced by the fermented sugarcane. Earlier used to be produced by shark liver oil, which is, again harming the biodiversity. But since the process has changed, it's a win-win situation on both biodiversity as well as sustainability. So by using these lab-grown ingredients, using that approach, there will be less stress on and strain on overall sustainable part of it. Another factor that, which we can think of is right now, overall packaging revolution that can happen. This industry packaging has been a long contention of discussion in the almost every industry right now, If you take up food beverages or chemical industry or pharmaceutical industry, packaging has always been an issue. So I think a lot of brands and manufacturers are rethinking the approach how to, we can go to zero waste packaging. One way is using smart packaging solution. When I say smart packaging, packaging is always not about materials. It's also about technology. Now, just think for an example, we have QR codes everywhere. So if we have a QR code on a maybe cosmetic or moisturizer jar, so it's very easy for them to scan it and you have the ingredients and every information. So in this way, manufacturers can use less amount of material actually. Right, so this is a smart way of using less amount of paper and overall plastic material. Another way that, what we can think of is overall decorative elements that are being used on products. That should be reduced because in a way, if we reduce those layer down, definitely we'll use less of material out there. Also, besides packaging, we need to focus on overall distribution pattern. Sustainable distribution pattern or logistics should be in place. So opting of either electric vehicles or hybrid vehicles to, reach to the consumers. Because again, there's a long journey from the factory to the consumer. There's a lot of environmental cost involved there itself. So yeah, opting for electric vehicles or maybe using of, now we have carbon neutral shipment logistic providers also. So maybe partnering with them will also help us in a way to have that sustainable distribution pattern. So yeah, these are few approaches that we can actually adhere and we have that climate change and overall green sustainability processes in place.
Thank you, Pooja. Vikasji, if you can focus on how precision fermentation and synthetic biology be leveraged to produce these novel fragrance compounds.
So, what is synthetic fermentation? Again, these are buzzwords which need to be demystified. Let's remember, fermentation has always existed. We make pickles. Korea survives on kimchi, which is fermenting. Fermentation has always been there, but now, in a very simple way to say, chemistry and biology have been put in the same pot and churned around in different words to say synthetic biology. But precision fermentation really means that we have our food, our enzyme factories or our bug factories, which is E. coli or yeast, we modify them. And we modify them in such a way that we make an ingredient which is the ingredient plus its functionality straight in by just that fermentation, which means you can have a matcha with a GABA embedded in it without the olfactory, right? So you don't want the smell of GABA, but the GABA functionality is there. So that's what precision fermentation can do. Now, it's a relatively new technology because it takes a lot of evolution, but that is the future way for functional ingredients where healthcare gets integrated with lifestyle. So this precision fermentation will play a very big part in that.
Pooja, if you can throw some light on the opportunities which exist for encapsulated flavors and fragrances to meet the rising demand of clean label natural products, particularly in price-sensitive markets like India.
So encapsulation of flavors and fragrances, basically, what you mean by it is you actually encapsulate essential oils or fragrances into a core or matrix so that, we have a lot of benefits of it, obviously, because there's a lot of controlled release plus more of stability comes into the picture and plus extended shelf life is also there of a specific product. So if we see altogether for an Indian market, which is very price sensitive comparatively, some of the opportunities that I think is encapsulating those natural ingredients which actually gets degraded out in the, in presence of light, or there's a lot of oxidation that happens or volatility. So this can actually prevent those materials by degrading, and there can have a long sustained release of the specific product. Also, micro-encapsulation of certain botanical extracts or essential oil can be, can be in place because they easily degrade into atmosphere. Another way or opportunity could be actually masking those flavors and fragrances. When you encapsulate a flavor or fragrance, especially in the Indian market, we are very susceptible to those particular strong odors, which consumers generally don't prefer. So masking of those odor and strong perfumes could be one of the opportunities there. Controlled release, again, as I mentioned, that's the best benefit we can actually achieve from encapsulation. So that this can particularly be used in those, chewing gums or beverages where we would have that, the customer would want to have that overall sensory experience. This could be actually, overall controlled release could be linked with the cost-effective solution because as the product is released very slowly, obviously there is no wastage of that product, and considering India with a lot of population with income, varying incomes, obviously they would want that natural ingredient product plus the cost-effective formulation. So encapsulation is the best way to have that product in place.
Thank you, Pooja. Vikas ji, what is the use case of flavors and fragrances, and where do you see new opportunities coming up?
So, I see a lot of opportunities. If you look at, I just alluded to one where there's a healthcare and pharma integration where you have functional benefits along with the olfactory. But if you sort of classify, if you segregate in the audience into a matrix, flavor and fragrance industries broadly divides micro-segmentation, they call it, the audience into three segments. One is the neophilics, which are the triers, the Gen Z, the Gen X, if you may, they are the triers. Then they are the stable people who want the vanilla, but they want a little twist in it. They want a ginger in it or something. And then there are the ethnic people, who want, again, rooted in the ethnicity, but they want a twist to it. Now, one of the most wonderful example of an ethnic food becoming a huge rage is this thing called sticky rice and mango in Thailand. It's a dessert. They actually made a flavor for it, and it's a world hit. It's called tropical dessert, right? So, if now the triers want fusion foods, the bold people want a lot more. They want a spice in a cologne, for example, and you're already seeing the chocolates coming with spices. Now, innovation in foods, different taste perceptions, growing income levels, a rapidly growing Asia Pacific and Japanese market, and again, integration of healthcare with, this thing. And then also the therapeutic versions of aromatherapy along with the olfactory sensibilities. All this is creating a huge amount of opportunities for the flavor and fragrance industry globally. You did allude to the fact that the industry is going to go to $50 million in 2023. What is not known is that the experiential food, and this is what I meant by the food which is experiential, is going to be a $1.3 trillion industries in the next 2 years. That is the opportunity.
Thank you, Vikas ji. Murari ji, if you can talk about cross-industry collaboration between fragrance houses, food manufacturers, and tech companies to drive value-added innovations that address consumer demand for sustainability and functionality.
So a collaborative approach between the flavors and fragrance manufacturers, food manufacturers, and technology companies could pave the way for a very, very sustainable way of producing or manufacturing flavors and fragrances. In terms of food manufacturing houses, flavors and fragrances industry can learn about their sustainable sourcing and how they are composing, recycling, and reusing their waste material that it can be implemented and to the flavors and fragrances industry. Sir talked about the technology, digitization, AI, and machine learning. How these can be, and one of the important thing there is, in terms of flavors and fragrances, is the packaging. How do you package, and post-use of these, how these bottles and packets are being decomposed, reused, and recycled. That can be learned from the hospitality industry. One of the value addition here for the Indian market, India being home of Ayurveda, and if you see, we have thousands and thousands of types of fragrances, but still, what I think, there is not a single upmarket, universally renowned brand from the Indian markets. So Ayurvedas opens a big, huge opportunities for the flavors and mainly for the fragrances. And if the R&D labs, institutions, backed by the government incentives, and Ayurveda can work together, India can come out with a very unique fragrance product and can increase its share in the global flavors and fragrance markets.
Thank you, Murari. One last question to Vikas ji, and then I move to Q&A. How do you see this industry is working more on the small, medium size sector? So if this industry needs to grow, and it's also a profitable industry, so do you see mergers and acquisitions happening, which will cause a disruption so that we can see large valuations coming forward?
Pravin, as I said, it's tailwinds for India this time. Everything is going for India right now. Whatever you call it, the China plus one factor, the biases, the knowledge that Indian industry is doing very well. And one of the most important things that people realize is the reliability of Indians as far as fulfilling contracts are concerned. So it is tailwinds for India. It's for us to seize this opportunity. But having said that, we need to move out and have a little bit of innovative approach, a little bit of a research mindset, because we have all the cogs and the wheels to do it. We have the best engineers. I'll give you an example. I mean, we are in biotechnology. A fermenter, a 20,000 liter fermenter with all the bells and whistles costs close to $3 million overseas. We get it for $500,000 here, and just as good. So we have it all. It's all for us to seize. We just need to look outside. Indian industry has been pretty focused into India, but as she rightly said, 70% of the ingredients are being, especially specialty chemicals, the big companies like Eternis and Privy, etc., who have done exceptionally well, and the specialty chemicals have done well, but the small Indian manufacturer has to move out of a comfort zone, innovate a little bit, differentiate a little bit, and seize the opportunity.
So let me open it up for any Q&A that you do have. They say that when the oil and when the gasoline demand decreases with a lot of EVs coming in, most of the fossil fuel is being pumped into making flavors and fragrances, and that is happening in China. I don't know how correct it is, because if you can, is it correct?
Yes, partly true, actually. It is partly true. And, as I said, we think of flavors and fragrances as an industry, but it is so omnipresent. You do a floor polish that's got a fragrance in it. In fact, now you're talking of reverse innovation, where you say, we don't want a fragrance, so you have to have a masking fragrance for that. So it is so omnipresent that, we don't think about it, but it's just about everywhere. I think we are on a growth path. I think the trajectory is very nice. And you mentioned EV, but I'll just give you something in passing. One of the most sought after fragrances today is a fresh car fragrance, the smell of leather. That's a fragrance.